So I was sitting in this bar. One of those bars where you just have to be. One of those places where truly beautiful and successful people should meet. Yes, some of them were there. Although they were in the minority, they dominated the space in a calm manner, moving around, hugging other cool people, feeling confident. They seemed to know everyone, were everyone's best friends, and just loved everyone. Well, not everyone, of course, but at least all the other cool people here. And then there were others, unknown to anyone. Attractive, or at least not repulsive. They gathered in small, motionless groups and did not flit around like real beautiful and connected people. And then there were the rest, sad. Those who tried to hold on to their seats so as not to have to communicate with anyone. Desperately trying not to attract attention, because they imagined that everyone could immediately see that they did not belong here, that everyone could see their real insecurities. Their fears were unfounded. No one noticed them anyway. They were simply obstacles that other, more confident people could get around. They just made the place feel less empty. Yes, I was one of them. No, not the beautiful ones. Not even from the invisible, mediocre group. I was one of those who didn't really belong here. I grabbed a seat at the bar and was busy trying not to make a fool of myself and appear like I was having fun. The problem was that I didn't really have anything to do except feel insecure. Absolutely nothing, and it was terrible. You can't sit in a place like this and just do nothing. It would be humiliating if someone noticed that I was not doing anything, which, fortunately, did not happen. Several friends had said they wanted to meet me here, and like a lamb, I showed up, not realizing it was one of those bars, and to make matters worse, my friends hadn't shown up yet. So I desperately held onto the drink in my left hand and watched the crowd, trying to look like a sophisticated observer, like a knowledgeable person who stays away, not like the shy guy I really was, afraid of being exposed. As much as I wish I had the looks, confidence, or charm to be one of them, the ones everyone wants to be. Let's take this guy, for example. Tall, 6 feet tall, blonde, tanned, Hulk-like muscles, teeth so white they could temporarily blind you. And he damn sure made sure that everyone here could see every one of his teeth, including his molars. Even though I liked the comic book characters he resembled, I already hated him. Mainly because I couldn't find a single flaw on it. You can usually console yourself by finding faults. Yes, of course, she is beautiful, but it is clear that she is a selfish bitch. Yes, he's muscular, but look at his teeth. Okay, he's handsome, but he seems dumb as a piece of bread, and his hair is starting to thin. The real problem was the people who were truly flawless, like this guy. He was a real ideal, and he even seemed witty and pleasant. Jerk. Why couldn't the genetic lottery be a little fairer, a little more equal in its distribution of assets? And don't even get me started on the bomb on his side. Every centerfold would curl up in shame and change jobs if they saw this woman. No, this is not just a beautiful girl. This is not a girl at all. She was quite tall and built like an Amazon. No, it was not just a beautiful girl. She was a magnificent, beautiful goddess, and it hung on his lips as if he were a gift from the gods to humanity. Damn, how I hated them. Both. Damn, where are my friends? I still felt completely out of place, like I had no right to even be in the same room with these people. I mean, look at that ass. What woman can rightfully own and display an ass like that in public? That ass in itself was enough to drive ordinary men crazy without having the slightest chance of touching it and surviving it. And she made it worse by wearing these ridiculously short, tight shorts. Did I mention that life isn't fair? Probably already said that. I looked around and saw that almost everyone was looking at them, not only ordinary people, but also fashionable characters. These two were clear winners of the genetic lottery, and I wondered what it would be like to be one of them, or at least be close to one of them. And then things got worse. Mr. Universe turned and began scanning the crowd. All the non-existent guys like me cowered under the gaze of fashionable people. I felt the urge to disappear, like a cockroach when the lights were turned on. He'll definitely notice right away that I feel out of place here, that I'm absolutely alone, that no one talks to me, that no one notices me, that I don't belong here. Damn, he'll be right. Now he looked me straight in the eyes, scanned my body with his light blue eyes, and began to smile. I felt like I was doing something illegal by being here, desecrating this hip place with my nerdy, uncool presence. He tapped the Amazon goddess on the shoulder, and the situation immediately worsened. He pointed in my direction, and although I desperately wanted to look away, I couldn't. God, how beautiful she was. Breathtakingly beautiful. She looked at me, at him, back at me, and frowned. I agreed with her. I would also frown to see me here if I were in her place. Fortunately, she soon turned away from me and began to talk to her divine companion, shaking her head. They even got into some kind of light argument, which surprised me a little. The Olympian gods shouldn't argue, should they? They must simply look at the antics of mortals with a contemptuous smile. Seeing that their lives were less than perfect gave me a small but definite sense of satisfaction. But this feeling did not reach the point of making me give up the dream of exchanging their life for my own. I looked away from the model couple and again pretended to study the bottles behind the bar. I thought this would make me invisible until my friends finally designed to show up in this place, and we could simply escape to a more suitable place. Sorry. Wow, what a nice female voice. He was so nice that I decided to give her my seat, which she was probably going to ask for before I even turned around. Crap, it was her. I felt the blood drain from my upper body and my ability to speak drained away. Was the result of my outstanding eloquence. My name is Tina. Ah, and you? Ah, of course, you can borrow. Now she looked puzzled. Seat. You can take a seat. Which place? I asked your name. What? Your name. You probably have a name, don't you? Thomas. Ah, see. Tom. Everyone just calls me Tom. Yes, Tom. I was still a little taken aback by her presence. Okay, Tom. We're making progress. I can feel it. You were even able to remember and pronounce your name. She giggled a little, and it was surprisingly cute. This gave her a certain unafraid quality. She seemed almost, well, human. Charming, even. Stop it, I thought. Don't turn it into a ridiculous cliché by falling in love or anything. See, Tom, we have some problems. A deep and very masculine male voice suddenly brought me out of my trance. Her companion joined us, unnoticed by me. Hell, everything around me was happening unnoticed while she was talking to me. I'm Ralph, Tina's husband. You see, I love her very much. And she just celebrated her 25th birthday. Why was he telling me all this? I wondered for a moment. And you, of course, know how difficult it is to find a suitable gift for your woman. Given my lack of actual experience in long-term relationships, I had no personal knowledge about this, but I wisely kept my mouth shut. Well, I somehow failed at the task. I bought her no, let's skip that. It was a funny gift. And, well, she was a little offended. Evil. What? I was angry, Ralph. Very angry. Yeah, okay, angry. She was angry, really angry. So I kind of made her a promise. She'll get any gift she wants if I can make it happen. Well, financially, legally, whatever, you know. I see. This was my only contribution to the conversation so far, and I desperately hoped that I had managed to hide my growing confusion. I mean, why was this stranger telling me about his poor choice of birthday gift? Why was she looking at me almost expectantly? Damn, was this even the reality I was in? It certainly didn't seem that way. None of it made even the remotest sense. I expected that at any moment someone would shout, "Stop," exposing me as the victim of a prank. And that's where you're in the game, he said. What? Could this evening get any weirder? Where were my friends when I needed them? Now I was desperately looking for some kind of exit plan. I finally found the flaw I was looking for. These people were clearly crazy. I chose my gift. Sex with another man just once. Luckily, I wasn't drinking when she calmly said this. Otherwise, I would have sprayed my drink evenly throughout the room. I was still coughing when she calmly continued. Ralph obviously had to agree. It was a wish, clearly within the limits he had defined. Certain restrictions, I thought. This woman was not a mindless doll, but it was definitely weird to talk about opening a marriage to extramarital sex like that. Yes, I had to agree, but I didn't like it. My condition was that I could choose the guy and that I could watch if I wanted. Is it true? My monosyllabic answers probably made them think I was a complete idiot. Of course, what did you expect? I certainly wouldn't allow a man who could be a competitor in any meaningful sense to me to have sex with her. Brother, it's definitely not easy for me, but I know I messed up, and this is part of my redemption. But I'm not going to let this jeopardize my marriage. So I want a completely unattractive man. Unattractive, ordinary, not seducer. In general, no competition. What a strange story. But now I finally understood why they told me this, and frankly, it was quite offensive to hear such an open confession. Tom, I agreed to Ralph's terms. I was even surprised that he agreed at all. Well, I was in a soft mood at that moment. I had a few drinks and really regretted her gift. Like I said, this is my atonement. And you deserve him for this lousy gift, dear. Anyway, I agreed that he would choose a guy and be present. But I also set a condition. The guy had to at least not be too ugly. Okay, but why are you here with me then? I blurted it out. She looked at me dumbfounded and started laughing. She actually thought it was incredibly funny, but Ralph and I knew better. Ugly was exactly how I saw myself. Tina. She was still giggling. Tina. What? He's serious. What? Come on. You're not model quality, and I'd prefer you to be a little taller. But at least you're not shorter than me, so that's fine. And yeah, you could use some muscle. But Tom, you'll be fine. I'm not too picky, it's just sex. You'll be fine. You're really not that ugly. Okay, but he's not handsome either. Apparently, yes, Ralph. You wouldn't pay any attention to him at all, would you? What? No way. True or not, it was actually becoming quite offensive. But I endured it and stayed put. Of course, I stayed. I was given the remote opportunity to approach this woman. I still didn't think about actually having sex with her. That would be too much. I would just be setting myself up for a huge disappointment. But a simple touch or even a kiss would be ample reward for this ongoing humiliation. Their motives were clear enough. She had every reason to portray me as an ugly bastard, since it would calm her husband's fears. His motives were also clear. He certainly didn't want to praise the guy who was going to become some sort of competitor. These thoughts helped me maintain at least some self-respect. But would you have sex with him? Well, it's definitely not a dream, but he'll do it. Okay, baby, repeat after me. I'm an ugly, weak little guy who can't satisfy a real woman. So be it. I really wanted to get into this goddess's pants, so I actually did it. I'm a weak guy who can't satisfy a woman. He grinned smugly while she was a little embarrassed. It's a daycare center, honey. Okay, Tina, I think I can live with Tom having sex with you, even though it will still hurt. Just remember to use a condom, okay? I know, and I really appreciate it. I know how much you love me and how strong you are. Tina, I still don't get it. I have to be enough for you. Wow, this guy suddenly seemed surprisingly insecure, even a bit of a whiner. I couldn't blame him. If I were him, I would have been at a loss too. I was still a little confused. Aw, guys. Not now, my dear Ralph. We can talk about this again later. You have nothing to fear. I am yours and will remain yours. Guys. Yes, Tom, Tina asked. What does that even mean? That means you're going to have sex with her, dude. You're not going to make love to her. No candlelit dinners, no hugging, no kissing, no romance. Just straight, fast, old-fashioned sex. No. What do you mean? They were both clearly taken aback by my reaction, and to be honest, so was I. I'm not interested. You're crazy, I screamed inside. But I wasn't. It won't work. Are you crazy? Or maybe you prefer men? No, Ralph, I don't prefer men. Have you looked at her lately? She's as hot as can be. Yeah, I noticed. But it still won't work. At least not the way you described it. No kissing, no hugging, no romance? Sorry, how is that supposed to work? So you need these things: candles, kisses, embrace? Dude, this is disgusting. I offer you the sex of your life, and you come up with such unmanly things. Are you sure you don't prefer men? Sorry, I forgot, you're kind of a weakling. Yes, I think you're into that kind of thing. In fact, I didn't know what I was really passionate about. Okay, I wasn't a virgin, but at 24 I certainly wasn't a Casanova. My extreme shyness did not allow me to use my male equipment for its intended purpose. But I've read a lot about this problem and watched quite a few how-to videos online. Of course, for research purposes only. He's right, Ralph. I don't love him and never will, but sex the way you describe it won't work. Okay, do as you want, but I'll get her first. You're going to have sloppy seconds. Ralph, dear, that's the thing. It will be better for you too. He can watch and learn. She just rolled her eyes. Okay, let's end this farce, okay? In any case, this little caricature of a man poses no threat to me. He seemed to be whistling in the dark, but I was glad that he acted like a jerk. It made everything easier from a moral point of view. I felt a little uncomfortable having sex with a married woman. Okay, I'm in, but I will take the lead sexually, I said boldly. Agreement, she answered quickly, keeping a calm expression on her face. Great, just wonderful. Now he was being sarcastic, and it didn't help make him look any better. But you won't do that in our bed. Then I'll have to ritually burn it, but it's almost new. Where do you live, weakling? Just a few 100 meters from here. Wow, talk about a completely miserable person. I bet he wished he could come up with a better gift for her. Whatever he gave her, his punishment seemed unreasonably harsh. But on the other hand, I didn't know them well enough to judge them. We went to my apartment, which was very close, in tense silence. I walked ahead, and he kept grabbing it possessively. For such a masculine stallion, he was acting a little obsessive. She responded in kind, probably to reassure him. After that, we spent about 5 hours in the elevator. Well, at least that's what it seemed like. The air was full of tension. Tina and Ralph stood in different corners. No one said a word. Everyone looked first at the floor, then at the ceiling. This is the unwritten law in elevators. It was necessary to avoid direct eye contact with Ralph at all costs. Instead, I briefly looked into Tina's gorgeous eyes, and she smiled intensely. She didn't seem to be expecting it at all, and that didn't help calm my nerves. This situation was just weird. Finally, the elevator doors opened and Ralph and I tried to get out at the same time. He took this opportunity to roughly push me aside. I swayed a little, desperately trying to maintain some dignity so as not to fall to the floor. I barely succeeded, but I embarrassed myself by performing a strange dance with my hands and feet. Tina looked at me almost in pain, while Ralph grinned. If everything went right, by the end of the night I would have sex with the woman of my dreams, but at the cost of what little self-respect I still had. We walked into my large living room, which had a breathtaking view of the city. The wall in question was one big, huge window. The whole room looked like it was taken from some modern furniture catalog. I definitely wasn't crazy rich, but I had a very decent income, a spectacular apartment, and could work from home. Apart from the lack of female company, my life was quite good. Wow. They were both pretty impressed, although I couldn't figure out why. Sure, it was a beautiful place, but it belonged to an inconspicuous guy. They were lucky, beautiful people. They stood by the large picture window, looking out at the city lights, holding hands and sharing a seemingly romantic moment. I almost felt like a stranger in my own apartment. Does anyone need something to drink? It was time to shake them out of their reverie. Oh, what? Yes, Tom, that would be wonderful. Do you have white wine, perhaps? Certainly. Beer. While I was getting their drinks, I tried to calm my nerves a little. I was still under the impression that she was too beautiful to be with someone like me. I had a brief vision that the universe would simply collapse if I touched it, because some law of physics would probably be broken. And to be honest, I also felt a little intimidated by her presence. Pretty nice apartment. You don't seem to fit in here. Thank you. I tried to ignore his rude remarks, which seemed the best way to avoid pressure. Okay, let's start with me giving you a free lesson on how to properly satisfy a woman. She didn't seem happy with his behavior, but she accepted it peacefully, probably because she was fully aware of the complexity of the situation. Okay, please follow me to the guest bedroom. No, no, kid, not the guest bedroom. What? We'll take your bed. He wanted to hurt me in any way possible, but I didn't care. I was going to have sex with his wife, the woman of my dreams, with his permission. I just had to remember that, and I was mostly calm. Okay, follow me. My bedroom was a much more impressive guest bedroom, so this choice was fine for me. It had a similar panoramic window overlooking the adjacent park. Since it was the top level of the tallest building nearby, it still provided some privacy, and the room had a huge transparent skylight. On a cloudless night, you could see the stars and the moon from the bed. Ralph barely noticed this and calmly began to undress, but Tina was absolutely delighted. She simply pointed at the ceiling with her mouth open. This is true. Do you like it, Tina? Tom, I can't believe. What's up there? Honey, we can start now. It's so beautiful, Tom. She seemed to be tearing up. I've always loved this window and always thought women would love it too. But I've never had anyone here. Shyness, you know. Tina, hello. Are you here with me? We can start now. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Ralph. She began to undress without any noticeable anticipation. It almost seemed as if she was preparing for homework. But damn, what a body was revealed from under those clothes. The next scene was terrible. From an athletic standpoint, it was certainly impressive. His muscles were well-defined and very attractive. His control over his body was brilliant. But damn, the goal here wasn't to look good, it was to please your partner. He was right, it was some kind of lesson, a lesson in how not to behave with a woman. The finishing touch was that he looked around for a mirror. In its own way, it was perfect. Tina occasionally smiled at him encouragingly. She briefly met my gaze, and we suddenly understood each other. She was clearly desperate. Perhaps she even began to doubt herself, probably wondering if she was to blame. I suddenly felt sorry for her, which surprised me. Tina made appropriate sounds. I had to admire her. She tried not to lie openly, pretending, but also tried to show some pleasure. She obviously loved him and didn't want to hurt him. I guess she shouldn't have worried because he seemed to be beyond such niceties. He simply rolled out of bed and went to the bathroom, not paying her any further attention. I see your problem, I said quietly while he was out of sight. I love him, you know. Yes, I see it. There were tears in her eyes. I don't want to hurt him. I know, but you should know. Yes, I need to know, she said almost desperately. It's not because of that stupid gift. I'm not that vindictive. I just need to know. And you probably have more experience than me. It was the only one so far. Childhood friends? Yes. I swallowed. A relationship like theirs was something special, and I was fully aware that it could be damaged by what was about to happen, making me feel bad about my role in it. But there was nothing I could or would have done differently. She needed to know, and I desperately wanted to touch her, kiss her, worship her, make love to her. As soon as he left the bathroom, she stood up to wash her face as well. Tina, you should look at this bathroom. It's bigger than our apartment. Oh my God. He waited a few seconds until she left. Okay, boy, I'll leave now. I'm not going to look at this. A real man shouldn't ask for that. Remember, she's all mine, and for the rest of your life you can dream about this night, wishing for a repeat. But it won't happen. She still won't like your skinny body. You know, ah, damn. He looked a little upset and simply turned and left the apartment. Where's Ralph? He suddenly decided to leave. She looked a little sad. Yeah, it's probably better that way. I don't want to hurt him like that. But I need to know, I really do. I understand. Come here, please. She obediently approached me, lowering her head. I gently lifted her chin and boldly kissed her perfect lips. We ended up on my bed where I could finally fully explore her body. You know, you're not a freak. I wasn't sure if I appreciated this kind of talk about my unimpressive appearance right now. This could seriously ruin my mood. Yes? Not at all. You are nowhere near as handsome as Ralph. He is perhaps the most handsome man I have ever seen. But you are far from ugly. On the contrary, if you took a little care of your style, you could be quite attractive. Oh, I wasn't sure if this was just encouraging chat during sex. I just let him bully you without protesting. I'm sorry about that. It was very hard on him. Yes, I imagine. Sorry, I just had to say it. I really like looking at you. You have beautiful eyes. What? What is she talking about? This was getting a little absurd. My eyes were just, well, eyes. Now please continue. This is better than I could have dreamed. It's so. Oh, Tom. To my shame, she began to cry. Wow, this is really not what I expected. I continued what I had been doing before our short conversation to bring her thoughts back to the present, with success. I certainly didn't have Ralph's body, but I might have been more empathic and sensitive. It still surprised me how easy it was for me to read her reactions. She was almost like an open book. She looked at me seriously, grabbed my face with both hands, and kissed me deeply. I felt that she was now crying openly, and my nose became a little wet. Looking back on my life, it was probably the best moment I could remember. Tina fell on me and started showering kisses. I almost laughed. She was so happy and so excited. After we had rested for a while, her mood suddenly became a little gloomy. I think I knew what it was. Tina, you don't have to feel bad. I know. Isn't this what you expected? No, it was. The problem is that it was better, much better. You really love Ralph, right? Yes, more than anything else. And just because sex is so good with someone else makes it even worse with him. Yeah, I really didn't understand what everyone was talking about. I assumed it. Did you guess? Well, the only reason for your strange request, for hurting someone you clearly love, and for potentially endangering your marriage, had to be really important. She just nodded sadly. You obviously love him, which isn't surprising since he's an absolute dream. So what reason do you have for wanting sex with someone like me? Sex with him is so bad that you're probably even doubting yourself. Yes, she began to cry and collapsed in tears. I tried to console her. Tina, the problem is definitely not you. You are a very good, very sympathetic lover. But that doesn't solve anything, does it? The person you love isn't that anyway. You know that for sure now, whereas until today you had the benefit of the doubt. She just nodded sadly. The problem is that he is a little selfish, but that can be fixed. You can teach him the intricacies of love. The big problem is his outdated views on male behavior. Anything that pleases a woman is unmanly in his eyes. It will be difficult to change. Perhaps counseling would help you. I already mentioned this. Let me guess. He doesn't see a problem in your marriage, he's not crazy, and he doesn't need this weakling counseling at all. Yes, something like that. So what's your plan? I don't have a plan. I'm afraid that he will never change. Now I could leave him at any time. But I love him too much for that. Once the children come, the threshold for leaving will be much higher. So I'm afraid that he will care even less about my sexual needs. Oh, no need to worry. I don't think he can make it worse. She laughed briefly and bitterly. Yeah, you're probably right. So what should I do? Nothing. Dream about this wonderful night with you. Deal with the fact that the man I love is a bad lover. Hey, this is confidential, okay? Yes, of course. Don't worry. I know. You know, Ralph isn't that bad either. He was just hurt and unsure today. Yes, I understand that. So is this the end for us? Yes, Tom. Thank you very much. It was like a dream for me. Same for me. Thank you. I'll never forget this night. With tears in her eyes, she ran to the bathroom, quickly washed her face, got dressed, and left my apartment before I could find suitable parting words. Surprised, I realized that my face was also wet. I lay awake forever after that, trying to cope with what had just happened. She was certainly exceptionally beautiful, and she was definitely great in bed. What really surprised me was that she was so open and so sweet, so pleasant. I'm almost glad I won't see her again. I would definitely fall in love with her without any chance of winning her or making her mine. She really was too good for me. She was perfect, just like Ralph, except for this one unfortunate flaw. My plan was to try to view the whole thing as a strange, but very enjoyable one-time episode that I would look back on fondly for the rest of my life, but it was something that didn't have the potential to really change my life or my outlook on the world. Of course, it didn't work that way. The next morning, I found myself at the barber shop getting a decent haircut. I cultivated my nerdy, casual look, but realized it was just as funny as Ralph's weird views on appropriate male behavior during sex. Neglecting your appearance wasn't a cute quirk, it was just immature. By evening, I had a new haircut and new clothes. It was time to change something. Meeting Tina became a wake-up call for me. My self-esteem was still fueled by the boost I got from my experience, and I was almost able to meet girls in town twice. Of course, before things could get too serious, I was able to screw things up by taking too long or not finding the right words. Some of my doubts may have disappeared, but I was still painfully shy. 2 weeks after my big adventure, I was sitting by the fireplace, staring deeply into the flames that were the only source of light in my house at that time. My mood was gloomy. My attempts to push Tina out of my thoughts were largely unsuccessful. It would be okay if she was just beautiful and sexy. The real problem was that she turned out to be a sensitive, caring, and loving person. Crap. I kept thinking about our wonderful lovemaking session, replaying it in my mind over and over again, torturing myself with it. My wonderfully gloomy mood was broken by the doorbell ringing. No, not now. I couldn't see anyone right now, especially not my friend Tim, who got into this situation in the first place by not showing up at the bar on time. That damn doorbell rang again. Crap. I realized I probably should have done something about it. I finally got my ass off the floor and walked towards the door as she rang the bell again. I opened the door and was about to tell him off when something tall, beautiful, and decidedly feminine flew into my arms, almost knocking me off my feet. My door slammed shut without my intervention, and soft lips pressed against mine. A wonderful smell entered my nose, and a pair of breasts pressed against my chest. In general, the situation could have been worse. "Don't talk," she said, breaking her own rule. "Let's just go to your bedroom." I simply nodded. She was right. There is no need to say anything. Afterwards, we lay in bed in companionable silence. I felt completely at ease around her, no longer feeling intimidated by her appearance. We were friends. But something was gnawing at me, and in the end, I had to break the relaxed atmosphere. "Tina, I don't feel comfortable dragging him into this. It's just wrong, and it's really not my style." "Yeah, I feel terrible about cheating on him too. I really love my husband, you know." "I know. He's been my best friend since childhood. He protected me from bullies at school. It's clear. I will never leave him." "Fine." Suddenly, she began to cry. "I have to go." She literally ran away from my apartment again. She was starting to make it a habit. I felt like a scoundrel for disturbing our peace in this way. I wasn't particularly surprised to find it on my doorstep about a week later. This was quite normal for me since I haven't been thinking about much else lately anyway. I spent most of my time just staring mindlessly out the window or at the wall, daydreaming about her. After an enthusiastic greeting, we had sex again and again and talked about how bad we felt about it. She praised Ralph again, and I again pointed out that I was not usually the type of man to have sex with married women. This conversation suspiciously began to seem more like a ritual than the real truth. Her visits became more and more frequent until we were making love almost every day. Sex didn't get any worse. On the contrary, we got to know each other better, and sex only benefited from this. It was getting hotter. I still felt bad about the moral aspects, but there was no way I could resist her. She was absolutely confused and cried often. We both knew it was wrong, but it developed into a full-fledged long-term affair. The other thing that happened was we were just enjoying our time together outside of the bedroom. When she had a chance to spend time with me, that is, when Ralph was away, we would cook, watch movies, just cuddle or talk. We never appeared together in public for obvious reasons, but inside my apartment, we were almost like a happy couple. We were currently preparing lasagna together. We were both completely naked, relaxed after a nice long session of sex, just showered and hungry. The damn doorbell rang again. Tom, just ignore him, okay? That damn bell rang again. Open the damn door. The voice sounded a little muffled through the door, but we both immediately knew who it was. I looked at her questioningly, and she nodded sadly. Tom, let's at least get dressed, okay? Good idea. We quickly got dressed, she in the clothes she came in, and I in some casual sweatpants. Then, with my heart on my heels, I opened the door. Tina was not visible. She retreated into the bedroom. Ralph. Volume. He seemed quite excited. Is Tina here? Ralph, why are you here? Tina, he just shouted, ignoring my question. I was ready to throw him out the door when, to my surprise, she appeared behind me. I'm here. He immediately lost his rage. It was terrible to watch his spirit break right in front of me. So, is it true? He was almost on the verge of tears, and for some reason that would be the worst thing. I really hoped he would get us out of this. I also hoped that Tina was in denial, at least for his own good. Maybe I would tell him some story about how we are just friends. Yes. Wow, that statement shocked Ralph as much as it shocked me. What did this mean? Why did she want Ralph to know about us? Did she want to clear her conscience in this way? Did she want to put pressure on herself to break it off with me? Did she want to end her relationship with Ralph, even though that seemed unlikely? You're a bitch. You're a damn cheating traitor, he said in a sad voice. I know, she answered sadly. You are a heartless, cheating, worthless slut. I could tell his mood was changing. He was a desperate man, and he was going to get very angry. Sorry, sorry. What does that mean? It doesn't change anything. Sorry for what? For cheating on me with him? For having sex with that pathetic parody of a man? No. No, what does that mean? I'm sorry that I hurt you. You vile, worthless slut. He was actually screaming now. I was glad that the offices below my apartment were empty at this time of day. Ralph, I'm sorry I hurt you, but I'm not sorry I slept with Tom. She was surprisingly calm. Although her words were cruel, they sounded soothing, as if she were speaking to a beloved child. She clearly sympathized deeply and felt the pain of the man she treasured. But she clearly decided to be completely honest with him. I respected this, but nevertheless doubted the wisdom of such a decision. While I was still looking at her, something suddenly hit me on the chin. He finally hit me, I thought as I flew back. It was amazing how long he could only focus on her. And since he would never hit her, I was the most likely target for any violence from the very beginning. As soon as I hit the floor, I saw her worried face from beneath my feet. Sorry, Tom. It's all my fault, she said as Ralph started kicking me. She then physically stopped him, preventing him from hurting me further. Leave him alone, Ralph. Why should I? Why should I do anything for you? Stop it, or I'll stay here. Her voice was still oddly calm despite the chaos around her. I couldn't help but admire her. She was definitely the kind of person you'd want around in case of an emergency. Her words stopped him immediately. You're a bitch, I don't care. She walked up to him and hugged him. He started crying like a baby, and that was something I couldn't bear. Well, the blows were almost expected in his world of male behavior. But seeing him cry in such a macho way really made me feel bad. It's okay, Ralph. I love you. It's okay. Her voice was still soothing. Don't leave me, Tina. Please don't go. He seemed so weak compared to this strong woman. No wonder he was afraid of losing her. Tom, we'll go to the guest bedroom if that's okay. Ralph and I need to talk in private. Of course, I said with difficulty. I examined my face and was relieved to find that I was not seriously injured. I was almost disappointed. This might help relieve my huge feelings of guilt. I clearly didn't like Ralph, but what Tina and I did was clearly wrong. We were deceivers, there was no doubt about it. About half an hour later, they appeared again. Ralph looked a little collected and even seemed a little embarrassed. Tom, I can't see you anymore, Tina announced, looking at my feet. I had already seen this coming, but hearing it out loud was still disappointing. Understand. I promised this to Ralph. He wants to forgive me. We really love each other. I will be the perfect wife from now on. Ralph nodded firmly in the background, which seemed a little unnecessary. Cold. We need to heal our marriage. I need to work hard to regain his trust. I will miss you, but we can't see each other again. Ever. This is the end. We're breaking up for good. Okay, Tina, I understand that. I was already feeling bad about all of this. Good luck with your marriage. Take care of yourself. She walked away, trying to hide the tears in her eyes from Ralph. I also felt uneasy. To be honest, I knew I would miss her terribly. There were very bad times ahead of me, really very bad times. I was in a gloomy mood for several weeks and hardly left my condo. Apart from working at home, I only read, cooked, worked, and slept. I was pretty depressed and realized I was starting to like her a little. More than a little, it seemed. Thoughts about her kept coming back to me. I missed her terribly. Let's be honest, I was completely in love with a married woman. The worst-case scenario has come true. 4 absolutely miserable weeks after our final goodbyes, my doorbell rang. Tina, I was shocked. Tina, I was delighted. I wanted to jump up and do a victory dance just to see her again. She silenced me by placing her finger on my lips. As requested, I remained completely silent, although it was difficult. I felt like I might burst with joy, as if a big missing part of me had finally returned. To say that the next sex was amazing would be a gross understatement. Tina was absolutely wild and eager to make up for lost time. She held me tightly, like a vice, and often looked deep into my eyes. It was magical. I hoped she would stay with me for a while after this, but she had other plans. She looked at me seriously and put her finger on her lips again. I wisely remained silent as I watched her shower, get dressed, and leave without saying a word. Strange, but it was definitely better than nothing. Our sinful work resumed completely in the following weeks. I still felt bad about it all, but I couldn't resist her. She seemed to feel even worse, but she clearly couldn't stop either. We were just common adulterers, and this was against our moral standards. At first, our meetings were limited to quiet sex, as if this made cheating more acceptable. After several meetings, this rule was lifted and everything returned to normal, if what we did could be called normal. Ralph didn't seem to know this time, but that didn't really reassure me. After about 2 months of resuming our adulterous affair, we developed a schedule of sorts. We spent most Saturdays together, with Ralph playing football and hanging out with friends afterwards. These were the best times as we could spend a few hours together peacefully. But she also managed to drop by for lunch breaks, usually 2 or 3 times a week. My life consisted mainly of 2 things: spending time with her and waiting for her. The latter was beginning to seem painful. It was Saturday, and I expected it at about 10 in the morning. By 11 I began to worry, and by noon I was on edge. We agreed that I would under no circumstances call her, so all I could do was keep myself occupied while terrified. Didn't she want to stop it? Did something happen to her? I would never have known. No one would have told me. At about 1 o'clock, the doorbell finally rang. I'd rather she had the key to my door, but she said she couldn't risk Ralph finding it. I rushed to the door to find her standing there, looking sad and forlorn, tears streaming down her beautiful face. Tina, come here. What happened? I took her in my arms and waited until her sobs subsided. We really hurt him. Oh, damn. He knows. Yes. So we'll have to break up again? No. No, I felt joy. So, is this some kind of obligation to me? Has she decided to break up with Ralph? He was furious. He wanted to leave me on the spot. I was completely devastated, but I agreed that this was a solution that we could discuss. He did not expect this answer and was instantly speechless. He began to beg and beg me not to leave. It was terrible. This handsome, once proud man was turned into such a pitiful man by me. And her accomplice, namely me. We looked into each other's eyes. Neither of us felt proud of what happened. Yes, namely you. She smiled faintly. It was. Well, let's just say I felt damn guilty. Here was the man I loved, destroyed by my selfish actions. And then it got worse. He actually offered to share me with you if I didn't leave at all. From him. Oh shit. I realized that this was bad, but inside I couldn't help but rejoice. This probably meant more time with her for me, but there was still a feeling of guilt. Hell yeah. I asked him if he really wanted an open marriage, if he wanted to cheat too, and if he was okay with me sleeping with other men. With other men, a cold shiver ran down my spine. Jealousy? Seriously? Am I a jealous cheater? How hypocritical. Relax, I won't. I just wanted to know what he wanted. Well, it seems he wants to save as much of our relationship as possible, hoping that this is just a temporary phase. Continuing to live in our apartment with him was the critical point. He suggested that he could be okay with me being with you if he got most of my time, and if we continued to use condoms. What? Yes, I know. He thinks we're using them. Let's not talk about it, please. I feel bad enough about this lie, although it's more of a lie by omission. Anyway, the most important thing is that he doesn't want to be a cuckold. This was his biggest fear. I didn't know this word very well, and he explained it to me. It describes a husband whose wife sleeps with at least one other man. He said that this problem will be solved if we get divorced. I understand. He wants to save our relationship by divorcing me. This is probably some kind of male status thing. Perhaps maintaining his pride is the main thing, it seems, than staying married to me. What is he thinking? I think he's just confused and overwhelmed with emotion. I heard about it. About what? About this cuckold thing. Everyone has a little different understanding, and for a lot of guys, being one is the ultimate humiliation. For Ralph, apparently marriage is a prerequisite to earning that title. So maybe he wants to get rid of it like that without getting rid of me. In a twisted way, it even makes sense. I can't say I don't feel sorry for him. Yes, so that's how it will be. What? Really? Can we start seeing each other openly? Yes, no, not publicly, of course. No one should know about our affair or divorce. Again, status and public opinion seem to be important to him. Under these conditions, he agrees that we spend a limited amount of time together. He hopes that our romance will lose its secret attraction and excitement and will soon fade away. How do you feel about this? This is terrible. My marriage is over. I ruined my marriage to the man of my dreams. I see. I didn't like hearing this. But on the other hand, I bought more time with the other man of my dreams. Seriously, this sounded much better to me. Of course, fool. It should be noted that we spent the rest of that Saturday together in our usual relaxed manner until she returned to Ralph's late that evening. It was always hard for me to see her go, like always. But for some reason this time it was even more difficult for me. Before, I was just a lover, and she returned to her husband, to her home. With the new arrangement, I felt that I had some rights to it. I was almost as much a legal spouse as Ralph. As nice as it was to think, it made it difficult to accept that she was going back to his place for the night. Why couldn't she spend the night with me? Jealousy began to creep in. Knowing that I was a jealous cheater was pure hypocrisy, and it didn't make my feelings any easier. We continued this arrangement over the following weeks. I have to give Ralph credit for seeing this scam through to completion. He loved her deeply, but he didn't want to be a cuckold. Unable to convince her to change her behavior, he was consistent enough to carry through the only solution he saw: divorce, although Tina assured me that this hurt him terribly. He was scared, but he still tried to hold her. Witnessing this was as hard for her as it was for him. I was afraid of losing her again in this emotional chaos, but to my great relief, she continued to see me. She spent her Saturdays at my place and returned to his place in the evening to spend the night going out clubbing. She still didn't want to be seen with me in public to avoid confusion and humiliation for him. This was a little annoying, but I soon calmed down thanks to her offer to spend 2 nights a week with me. Those nights were like a dream for me, but they were probably terrible for Ralph. Sometimes it was a little awkward after she arrived. I knew Ralph must have been on the verge of hysterics seeing her leave, the guilt eating her up inside. But good sex always proved useful in such a situation. You know, Tina, these overnight bags are really annoying, I said Tuesday morning as she packed her things before heading to work. Yeah, I know. Packing it all is a pain, and I always forget things. Look, I have plenty of space in my closet. What? Look. I took her to my closet and showed her how pathetic my few clothes looked in there. I still can't get used to the sheer size of this thing. Yes, there is enough space here, even for a beautiful woman's wardrobe. Tom, are you suggesting I leave my things here all the time? Yes. She smiled brightly. Agreed. Is it true? Wow, was it that easy? Certainly. Hooray, yes. This was the first step towards her moving in with me. But honey, what? Did she call me honey? My circulation was now completely replaced by endorphins. I don't have many clothes anyway. What? My vocabulary was still limited. I really don't have much clothes. Of course, what woman has enough? Smart guy. Actually, if I split what I have between your place and actually Ralph's place, I won't have enough in both places. I'll need at least some clothes for work in both places. Did she call her former home Ralph's place? It got better and better. Well, we'll have to do some serious shopping then. No problem. Tom, I know you're pretty well off. At least I'm guessing you don't have any immediate financial problems, but I'm not so lucky. I just can't afford that many new clothes. I was still on cloud nine. What? That's the least of our problems, okay? She was starting to look a little annoyed. Tom, I really don't have that kind of money. My account is almost maxed out. Do you have separate accounts? Yeah, we've always done it that way. It seemed fairer. He likes to spend his money on completely different things. I see. How much debt do you have? Tom, I'd rather not talk. It's a lot, and I'm not proud of it, and I'm afraid you'll. Come on, I interrupted her. About 8,000. She admitted hesitantly. I couldn't help but laugh. Asshole. This isn't funny. I never know if I'll be able to get cash from the ATM. Hog, this is bad. Okay, give me your account number. I don't want your money. She looked stubborn, proud, and beautiful. I needed to come up with something, and quickly. This is not a gift. What do I need to do? Remember, I'm not here for the money. She still had doubts. I needed to be diplomatic. There was potential for a big problem here. I'll transfer some money and I'll buy something with it. You'll just have to help me buy it. I want a complete set of women's clothing, toiletries, cosmetics, everything. It will all stay here with me and be my property. You can use it sometimes. Oh, her face lit up. It was a proposal she could agree to. Shopping on this scale was definitely irresistible to her. And I expect nice lingerie. Fine. She clearly agreed with the idea. And Tina, yes. I don't want you to be in financial distress. I'll transfer a little more to help you with your account. Not much, just so you can get by, okay? I don't want you to worry all the time. Okay, she said, smiling modestly, like a little girl. Damn, I could get used to her. So many personalities in one woman. So smart, full of life, full of emotion. Damn, I realized again that I was in love with her. My mind was still a bit of a mess, so I just let it out. Tina, I love you. What? She was clearly stunned. What did this mean? Have I ruined everything? She almost looked like she was going to cry. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't have said that. You're a fool. Oh, God. She threw herself into my arms and showered me with kisses. I have to go to work now. Ah, okay. I foresaw all possible reactions, but definitely not this one. See you tomorrow, honey. Cute. Seriously? Oh, by the way, I love you too. And she left. I was still in shock. Did I really just say I love her? I knew it was such a long time ago, but I always avoided telling her about it, for fear of scaring her off with such a commitment. And she not only accepted my confession, but also replied that she loved me too. Wow, I barely touched the ground the rest of the day. The next day, a beaming Tina came to me in the afternoon. Went. Oh, hi, Tina. What a pleasant surprise. What exactly do you mean? I kept a straight face, feigning ignorance. Jerk, she hit me playfully. Come on, lazybones. I want to seriously go shopping today. Let's go. I hesitantly followed her out of the building. For some reason, I felt naked, like those dreams where you walk around and suddenly notice that you're not wearing pants and everyone is looking at you. The problem was that I didn't imagine it. Okay, I had my pants on, but everyone was really looking at us. Then I calmed down. It was just what it was like to be out with a beauty like her. But besides the way they were looking at us, something else seemed wrong. I felt as if I had stepped out of the safety of my cave and into an open plain, feeling vulnerable. I have never felt this way when leaving my building. Then it dawned on me that I was in public with Tina. I did something that had been strictly prohibited for months. I broke a taboo. She, of course, was absolutely calm and in a fantastic mood. A few hours later, I returned with a fully loaded car and a euphoric Tina. Just seeing her like this made me incredibly happy. La, 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 someone will be happy today, she sang. I didn't really like her singing technique, but the words sounded quite acceptable to me. Are you staying the night? Of course. I want to spend the night with the man I love. But not with the only man you love, I thought, but wisely remained silent. As we stood in the kitchen drinking soda, I had an idea. I rummaged through the drawer and wordlessly handed her the key. What is this? It's called a key. Smart guy, she laughed. What does it mean? You live here now. Suddenly, I doubted. How will she react? Will I push her away by being too pushy? Well, at least sometimes I back down. As many as you want, of course. Anyway, you should have a key. I had to stop before I started stuttering completely. Okay. She simply took it calmly. It wasn't a big deal for her. For me, this was another small sign that she was gradually becoming mine. At that moment, I felt that she was 40% mine and 60% Ralph. This is roughly how she distributed her time between us. Little by little, we were able to fill her closet space, and she even started adding a little feminine touch to my condo. We still had great sex and managed to avoid any talk about Ralph. That changed a few months after she accepted her key. She walked into our condo, clearly upset. That bastard, she exclaimed. What's wrong, honey? Ralph, he's dating some bitch. Oh, what more could I say? Their divorce was finalized, and unlike her, he respected their marriage vows. He was absolutely flawless, as he had been throughout this dirty triangle. I think he did it to make me jealous. Did it work? Of course not. He can have fun. Oh, damn, I still love him, you know. I know, I answered sadly. I'm sorry, this is so difficult for everyone. He doesn't deserve this, although we do. I know. He still drives me crazy sometimes. What if he falls in love with her? What if she's the one for him? This would be ideal, I thought, but managed to keep a straight face. Is she staying with him overnight? I used the term his place deliberately. Yeah, I guess she stays when I'm here. I could use it if you spent more time here in our place. Is this our place? Yes, this is as much your home as it is mine. That's so sweet. But you know, I still love Ralph. I can't just leave him. Have you thought about condoms? Why? I'm taking pills. Of course, but you don't know this woman. She might be a little promiscuous. It might be a health problem. Okay, I was a jerk on that front. I knew that condoms might lessen the appeal of her sex with Ralph. I was hoping this would help push her more towards me. And of course, we also had to start using them from the very beginning. Oh, I see. Damn. He could put us all in danger this way. Well, I can hardly ask him. He's probably just doing it to piss me off and make me jealous. I really don't want him to think it works. Okay, then just use condoms with him, please. I don't want to start using them with you. Oh no, of course not. I don't sleep with him very often anyway. We're more like brother and sister now. Hell, it was really hard to hear them even having sex. Imagining it was enough to make me sick. But I had to remember where we started from. I was a lover and had no right to be jealous. I had to be patient and gradually make her mine. I knew from the beginning that it would be hard, but I was willing to do whatever it took to achieve my dream. She spent more time with Muse than with him, which was no small success. But Tom, it's still hard to see him go to his room with that woman. His room? Yes, we have had different rooms since the divorce was finalized. Wow, this just keeps getting better and better, I thought as we went into the bedroom to have some fun. The bed seemed to have some kind of magnetic pull towards us, and today was no exception. After another particularly passionate sex session, I snapped it out of me again. Tina, I love you. I know, and I do you too. It makes everything so difficult. I still love Ralph. Yes, I know. Tina, I'm absolutely happy with what we have. I lied. But I'm a little annoyed that you still don't want to go out in public with me, at least in the evening. You still only go out with him. Tom, I hardly sleep with him. He even has difficulty getting an erection with me because he knows I enjoy it so much more with you. But I really enjoy his company, and I think I owe him at least that much. Okay, I understand. I realized that my jealousy had reached new heights. It almost seemed like Ralph was now a lover, as if she was going on dates with another man. But I can do this with you too. It's not that I'm embarrassed to be seen with you. You're not a freak, you're actually quite an attractive man. I know, but I'm not as attractive as him. Don't make me lie to you. Ralph is probably the most handsome man I've ever seen. I know. Now I felt really low, although it was the undeniable truth. Don't worry, I love you. Yes, I know. But is it really necessary to still have sex with him? Yeah, if he's in the mood, I definitely won't refuse him. I owe him that, don't I? Yeah, you're probably right. It's rare anyway. I just silently accepted it, as I always did. The long-term goal was important, but when she left our apartment to spend the night with another man, it almost tore me apart. I could imagine how Ralph felt when he heard about us. It was painful, very painful. I spent the night afraid that she would choose him again, afraid that he would eventually improve his sexual skills and I wouldn't have a chance with her. I imagined what they were doing at that moment. If she kisses him, if they are in bed together, if she whispers sweet little things to him. In short, I spent the night mostly sleepless and full of fear and jealousy, as always when she was with him. It really wore me down. I felt like a cuckold, and that was no fun. After a few weeks, I couldn't take it anymore. She steadily reduced the number of nights she spent at Ralph's to 1 or 2 a week. This eased my pain a little, but it was still hard. I tried not to think about how Ralph felt losing her. But I had to keep my goal in mind, and sparing his feelings would not help me. I felt confident enough to take a little risk. Tina, what do you think about making our relationship exclusive? We already have that, don't we? Or are you seeing someone else? No, I don't. But you do. What? Oh, I got it. Well, I rarely sleep with him. But if he wants me, I'll be there. I still owe him a lot, and I still love him. You knew what you were getting into. I understand. So, am I allowed to have one girl on the side too? What? No? She looked angry, but quickly calmed down, seeing the situation. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Officially we're cheaters. I was married to Ralph, still his woman, as it were. I hurt him, and he didn't do anything wrong. I think that I still love him. Yes, I know, but it still hurts. Yes, just like we wounded him. Tina, you're not suffering here at all. You have a choice between two men. It's not true. It kills me that I hurt Ralph, and I feel like I'm cheating on both of them. I feel constantly unfaithful. Then finish with Ralph. You live here anyway. I can't. He still hopes that we can get back together, and I still love him in a way. Crap. Yes. For several weeks, little changed. Of course, she started spending more time with me in public and even introduced me to several of her friends, which meant a lot to me. But nothing has changed dramatically. She still saw Ralph at least once a week. I felt like she was cheating on me, and it was killing me. It's time for something drastic to change. Call me an asshole, but I decided to use the resources I had to win her over. It may not have been fair, but it was too much for me. I was determined to do whatever it took. Tina, the mood was relaxed. We were cuddling on my couch, watching some nonsense on TV. Yes, she answered thoughtfully. Your vacation starts soon for 2 weeks. Yes, starting next week. Well, I've booked a little vacation for us. Oh, have you booked something yet? Shouldn't you have asked? Maldives, I interrupted her. Yes, talk about foul play. What? She looked incredulous. 2 weeks. Water bungalow. Nice resort. All inclusive. Yay. She tested the stability of my ribs with her next hug. I can't believe it. Tom, you're crazy. I've always dreamed of. I mean, seriously, the Maldives? I know you mentioned it. I felt a little smug. This move definitely worked. The next night turned out to be, well, interesting. Tiring indeed. Did I feel like I was buying it? Yes, a little. Did that stop me? No way, this was extremely important to my life, and I wasn't going to play fair. I wanted to win the woman I loved and was willing to do what was necessary. Tom, I'm so looking forward to this. Oh. What? I was planning to go to Hamburg with Ralph to visit his sister. I see. Maybe I should cancel. Don't you dare. We'll just go see her later. It'll just be a little hard to explain to Ralph. These 2 weeks will be pure horror for him. Yes, I know. I tried to look sympathetic, but she somehow managed to break the news to poor Ralph. I was glad I didn't have to be there. To my surprise, she spent the next night after talking with Ralph in our apartment, and not at his place, as was originally planned. I didn't dare ask for details, and what's even better is that she didn't get back to him until we left for the Maldives. He probably wasn't a happy man, but I certainly was. The vacation was just a dream. I was the envy of all the men present. Of course, we had a lot of sex, enjoyed great food, and spent a lot of time diving, snorkeling, and our usual indoor activities. I chose the calm mood that usually came after a good dose of love. We sat comfortably on a love chair on the deck above the sea, the warm wind playing with her hair. The situation was absolutely perfect, and I chose this moment to possibly ruin it. Tina, I was wondering. Yes. What if you spend all your nights in our apartment? I like it much better there, but what about Ralph? I really want us to be a couple in the normal sense. Exclusively. I want you all to myself. She looked at me with an unreadable expression. Oh, Tom, honey, I'd really like that. But it still sounded a little uncertain. Just do it. What about Ralph? You need to let him go. He needs to move on. You're blocking his future. She thought about it. Maybe you're right. she replied after a while. This is best for everyone. This constant hurting has to stop. You have to stop giving him hope. It's just cruel. To my relief, she nodded. I know you want to do this gently, but all you're doing is prolonging the pain. You are right. Wow, my gamble seems to have worked. I was afraid that she would agree to end his suffering by leaving me. Instead, she suddenly started crying. But it's so hard. This is really the end of Ralph and me. We wanted kids. We wanted to grow old together. This seems like such a cheap way to leave him. Only because of sex? Oh no, don't ever think that way. I'm not here just for the sex. You're so much nicer than him. So caring, so sensitive, so sweet, so mature. I love making love to you, but I wouldn't be here now if that were the only reason. I'm not that shallow. I love you for who you are. I like spending time with you. I need you to be around me. And me too. Okay, Tom, from this day on, you are my only man. You have exclusive rights to this body and this soul. Sure, it sounded corny, but she had tears in her eyes, which made it very believable. I was also excited, and in a choked voice, I could only say yes without embarrassing myself. Fortunately, I was not present during the final confrontation with Ralph. I really didn't envy the poor guy. Losing a woman slowly like Tina must have been pure torture. She later told me that it was truly terrible. He cried, begged, got down on his knees, promised never to see another woman again, and claimed that he never slept with her at all. It's sad, but the latter even sounded plausible. We slowly destroyed this man's sexuality. She returned, still deeply troubled, with the rest of her clothes. No, there was no sex that evening. I just held her and helped her through her crying spells. So did I win? Yes. Was it easy? No. The problem was that she was still in love with another person, and the fact that we both started out as cheaters remained. Morally, our relationship was on shaky ground. But more importantly, some suspicion remained. Did she still see Ralph behind me? Did she miss him? Could he be good in bed again, now that he was a lover and not a cuckold? So I kept an eye on her from time to time, and was horrified to learn that she was indeed still seeing Ralph. But I didn't have access to his apartment and couldn't keep an eye on it all the time. If she found out I was doing this, all hell would break loose and I might lose her again. So my options were limited, and all I could see were some inconspicuous lunch breaks without even a hint of a kiss. However, fear and jealousy remained. What if she cheats on me with this handsome guy? The thought was unbearable. This fear intensified when I happened to meet several people who happened to know her and were convinced that she and Ralph were still a couple. I realized that the situation had completely changed. We were now living together as a couple, and Ralph was a threat to our relationship. The situation was far from ideal, but what could I do? Confront her and risk her going back to Ralph? No, it's best not to rock the boat. She didn't know that I suspected her of cheating, and so far life had been good for me. Well, at least it's acceptable. The problem is that Ralph tried a similar strategy of denial while they were together, and it didn't work for him. It drove me crazy. After weeks of growing uncertainty, I almost couldn't stand it anymore. Tom, dear, what do you think about having a baby? Wow, this is sudden. Oh, Tina, I don't know. Is it because we're not married? Tom, I'm ready to change that any time if you want. No, it's not because of that. It's because you still see Ralph, and I'll never know who the father is. That's it. The cat is out of the bag. I was really looking forward to it. What will happen next? She just looked at me in shock and ran out of the room. Crap. Have I lost her? A few minutes later, she returned with tears in her eyes. I'm so sorry, Tom. Of course, I'll stop seeing him. At least without you. Without me, I'm not into men. What? Do you suspect that I'm still sleeping with him? You can't be that stupid. I promised to be yours, and I'm going to keep that promise. Yes, I met him at dinners. I think I gave him that. I have to. But I'm faithful to you. For some reason, I believed her. Sorry, Tina, but you have to admit, given our history, Yes, I'm a liar. I'll have to live with this stain. But I never actually lied to Ralph. Of course, I didn't tell him about meeting you, but I never told him an outright lie. And I'm telling you now that I'm faithful to you. I feel like a fool now, but I also felt as if the weight of the world had been lifted from me. We were both still paying the price for deceiving Ralph. So can you stop seeing him? Of course. Do you think I should? If you can, why didn't you do it? I should have assumed you still loved him. Tom, dear, Ralph and I were together almost always. We and everyone around us thought that we were made for each other. Our common future was never in doubt. We were always friends. We took each other's virginity. We were supposed to grow old together. I always thought that I loved him. But only after I met you did I learn about real, true love. And it was not only because of sex that I had a certain companionship, friendship, tenderness. I love you, one might say, like a brother. But with you, I feel deep, true love. So, of course, I can stop seeing him if I need to. Understand? Wow, what a relief. Don't you think you're still hurting him with this? He's probably still hoping to get you back. This must be torture for him. Yes, you're probably right. I knew it, but I was too weak to finally break off the relationship. Fine. Although it may have been inappropriate, I smiled widely. She was finally and completely mine. I felt muscles in my body that I didn't even know existed relax. A feeling of satisfaction washed over me. Tom, can I see him occasionally? Without sex, of course. And in your presence, she quickly added. Given your history, I would prefer it if you didn't do this. I admit, it would make me feel uncomfortable. But I understand if you feel like you have to do it. Thank you very much for allowing this and for forgiving me of secret meetings. What else could I do? In our group of serial cheaters, I could hardly blame her for such a small thing, could I? In the following weeks, we spoiled each other to the extreme. We were extremely attentive during sex, buying each other small gifts, bringing coffee in bed, the whole package. My motivation was to make sure she wasn't looking in Ralph's direction anymore. Her motivation, I did not know. Guilt, maybe, securing your rights, conviction so that I don't suspect. Whatever it was fun for a while, but it was also a little too much. After some time, we both slowed down and our relationship relaxed into a stable, long-term affair. We were sitting at breakfast on a beautiful Saturday morning. Yes, Tina, I suddenly said. What? I agree. Honey, what are you talking about? You proposed to me, remember? Her face shone like the sun. Seriously? Will you marry a liar like me? Tina, you don't need to be reminded of this all the time. We both have less than perfect histories in this regard. Boy, you definitely won't regret this. I just smiled like a fool. I'll stay true to you. You don't have to worry about that. I know. But I didn't know. This is probably exactly what she promised Ralph. I'll do my best to make sure you don't regret this, Tom. 6 years and 2 children later, I still have no regrets. She still spoils me crazy, and I do her too. But I'm also not stupid. Without discussion, we made the tracking feature available on our smartphones to each other. I still secretly check her email and phone sometimes. So far, she has proven her loyalty. Our marriage began with infidelity, and that flaw will never go away. Officially, Ralph has come to terms with the situation. To my annoyance, he often visits us with his new wife and their young son. We try to be polite when he's around, but there's a certain tension in the room. I also see secret glances in her direction, which really bothers me. Given our shared history, I do everything possible to keep her satisfied, sexually and otherwise. Unhappiness in her sex life led to her leaving Ralph, and that's a situation I definitely don't want to find myself in. So I'm under quite a lot of pressure, but as long as I have her, I can handle it. Despite the looming and perhaps unfounded doubt, I am finally starting to believe it. I won a woman's absolute dream from a much more attractive man, but I did it at the cost of my moral standards. Was it worth it? Hell yes. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story. because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.